Slovenia, a Central European country at the geographical intersection of three worlds: the Alps, the Mediterranean, and the Pannonian Basin. A splendid country between wine, sea, and karst, the Alps and the Adriatic. Ljubljana is the capital of this young republic. The old place is considered to be the gateway to the old town, which possesses grace, soul, and charm. The early Baroque Franciscan Church of St. Mary dominates the square. It was built in the middle of the 17th century, with a monumental main altar. Around both church and monastery, the Middle Ages meet with Baroque and Art Nouveau. Close by, the dignified Grand Hotel Union still shines out in all its original splendor, including a traditional Viennese coffee shop. From the old place, the famous bridge leads in 3 lanes over the Reka River to the actual old town below the castle. Just to the left, along the river shore, is the covered market, roofed colonnades in antique style, and in the basement, the fish market got housed. Along the route to the cathedral is a colourful flower market that's open most days. Stolnice Cathedral was built in the 17th century according to the design of Venetian architect Andrea Pozzo. Its interior in opulent Baroque. Nearby, the seminary and the city's oldest public library. Four threatening winged dragons guard the Dragon Bridge, made of concrete and iron, whose construction was among the first of its kind in Europe. A monument of poet Valentin Vodnik is located on the edge of the market square. Here, local farmers offer fresh fruit and vegetables each day from their crowded market stalls, a sumptuous feast of all the senses. A cog railway leads to Ljubljana Castle. The Slovenia Acropolis is situated on the 400-metre-high Castle Mountain, which was inhabited at the time of the Illyrians and Celts. A former watchtower, it was later transformed into both a fortress and castle. A triumphal arch is entrance to the Tsales Cemetery on the city's northeastern outskirts. It has several richly decorated chapels, and is tantamount to being a city of the dead, as Josip Plečnik, the city's architect, had imagined it. Next we explore Ljubljana from the river. A boat journey on the Barca reveals the old city with its particularly romantic bridges. Mestni Trg is the heart of the old town. The Rotovts City Hall, with its loggia and characteristic clock tower, is the seat of today's city parliament, with courtyard, decorated walls and Nazis fountain. All framed by elegant mansions and palaces. The Schuster Bridge is and always has been an important entrance point to the old town. At At the end of Stare Trig is a small square with an eye-catching Hercules fountain. A lively street, Stare Trig winds around Castle Hill. A statue of Mary and the modest Jacob Church mark the end of the old town. The church's interior was created by Robber. Close to the opposite riverbank is Kongresni Trig. The Philharmonic Hall, University, a former casino, and the Ursuline Church flank the large square, which is almost like a park. Tivoli Park, to the west of the city centre, is the city's largest park and green lung of the city. Ljubljana has everything in miniature. A city with spirit and joie de vivre and the laid-back attitude of the south. On our way to the Triglav National Park, we visit the famous Brezji pilgrimage in the city's northwest. Pope John Paul II attended St. Mary's Church, which became famous for its miraculous cures. St. Vitus Church and its adjoining chapel have stood here since 1800. An image of Mary was worshipped here. Due to its many faithful, the Franciscans built a monastery here, and the basilica became the country's last pilgrimage destination. Our journey through the Triglav National Park begins on the northern edge of the triangular border of Slovenia, Italy and Austria, in Kranjska Gora. This, the best known and most well-equipped ski resort in Slovenia, is growing in popularity each year, including the summer months. The centre of the village features a late Gothic church, and there are several farms, such as the 300-year-old Lizniak house that was built by prosperous farmers in typical alpine style. The first mountain massifs of the Julian Alps reflect in the small lake Janca, which lies just beyond Kranjska Gora, en route to the Vrisic Pass. The Triglav National Park is a wild, natural paradise reminiscent of an enchanted world. On a slope that leads down to the Trenta Valley is a monument that commemorates mountaineer and writer Dr. Julius Cugi, who discovered both this location and the Julian Alps. It contains karst and limestone, deep gorges and raging rivers, and many rare plants and insects. During the Ice Age, the wooded valleys of today were the foothills of various glaciers. The Slap Peričnik in Sava Valley is one of the area's many waterfalls and clearly demonstrates the mighty power of water. This is also a well-known vantage point of the 1,500-meter towering north wall of the Triglav Massif. The long ascent to the high valley of the Seven Lakes is a unique experience of nature, though with much challenging terrain. The tranquility and beauty of nature reveals a hidden wonderland. Many of these remarkable alpine flowers are endemic and can only be found here in the high mountains. The Seven Lakes Valley begins on the foothills of Belaglava. From here, the narrow valley ascends to the high mountains, between scree slopes and steep cliffs. Again and again, further lakes appear, well disguised among tall cliffs, their water reflecting the radiant mountains. Between rocks and scree, flowers still blossom. The seventh and last lake appears. This is where the oldest section of the Alpine Triglav Park ends. The Trento Valley is the source of one of the most beautiful rivers in the Alps. In this natural paradise, Europe's wildest and most romantic river is born, the Socha, the Emerald River. Its characteristic appearance was formed by the action of a glacier, and water erosion formed the valley. Ideal for whitewater sports. The Kobarid Canyon is a magical world. Its wild beauty is truly captivating. Next, the Socha shows a different face. The largest stone railway bridge in the world crosses the pristine river, which finally becomes in Italy the Isonzo River, situated within a delta of the Adriatic Sea. To experience the romance of the railways of bygone times is always a pleasure, and this is no exception. An historical steam train. Our journey begins in Jesenice, through a green and fertile landscape, past houses, small villages and old, abandoned farms. Both young and old railway enthusiasts look through the open windows and marvel at old railway wagons at the first stop. In addition, actors accompany us, dressed in old Empire style. The train station is sited above a hollowed-out glacier that later became Bled Lake. In 1858, Arnold Rickley, a Swiss doctor, built a spa hotel here, and this health resort was born. From a 140-meter high rock, the defiant Blieski Grad Castle surveys all. In 1004 AD, a defensive tower stood here, which subsequently became part of the castle. Here, medieval coins are embossed, and suits of armor are exhibited in the museum. Its Gothic chapel is dedicated to the saints Albuin and Ingenuine, and is decorated with frescoes which were added in the 18th century. In wooden Pletnia boats, boatmen row to the island. This pilgrim church is popular for wedding ceremonies, and for those who ring the wishing bell, their dreams will most certainly come true. With such positive thoughts, we return to the mainland. Again, the train is ready to leave. The Bohynia Museum train moves off and makes for the next valley. The route now runs through a valley which borders the Triglav National Park. Soon the train rumbles into the next station. Bohinjsko Bistrica. In the Bohynia Valley, the lake is the main attraction, emerald green and crystal clear. The largest lake in Slovenia has conserved its original and wild nature due to its protected location within the Triglav National Park. Its lake shores are very accessible. It's a picture postcard idyll that is not even disturbed by the lake's only electric-powered tour boat. At the outlet of the lake, there is an old church of Romanesque design. Its interior, with ribbed vault, is richly decorated with frescoes. The paintings are multi-layered. From the other end of Lake Bohynia, a cable car transports both passengers and goods up Vogel Mountain and to a mountain station at a dizzy altitude. In fine weather, the panoramic view from here is breathtaking. The lake, Triglav and the Julian Alps. By cable car, the plateau is easily reached at 1,537 meters above sea level, and from where the mountain peak can be reached along well-marked trails. In summer and winter, a popular destination in the high mountains. The mountains are a national treasure, a majestic sight. At the southern end of Lake Bohynia is a somewhat demanding climb to the Savica waterfall. "555 steep steps lead through a fertile forest up a mountain slope, and there's a shortcut where the wild water has cut its own path. The forest is fragrant, and a small wooden pavilion appears to block the steps. What a sight! The Savica waterfall in all of its glory. The water plunges down about 60 meters into an emerald green basin below. It is believed to be more than 1,000 years since the last prince of the Slovenes was baptized here. The train leaves Bohinjsko Bistrica station and travels through the 6-kilometer-long Kolba tunnel and passes Pobriedo. When the train crosses the bridge at Grahovo, it's a picturesque and nostalgic sight. This railway line, once called the Karavanken Vojina train, was built between 1900 to 1905 during Austro-Hungarian rule. With 42 tunnels, 62 bridges and 3 galleries. Soon the museum train is nearing the next station. Most na Sochi, a tranquil and well-located village with a long history that dates back to prehistoric times. A small Mississippi-style steamer travels at leisurely pace on the artificial lake, where there are many idyllic hiking trails and outdoor eating areas. There's a cheerful atmosphere, and the station's museum contains signals and much other railway memorabilia. Our route leads south through the Socha Valley. It took 5 years to build the railroad, and on July 19th, 1906, the heir to the Austrian throne, Franz Ferdinand, inaugurated the Bohemia Railway. Canal is our next stop. A wild mountain river determines life here, and most of its few buildings have been built on its rocky riverbank. A picture postcard Mediterranean town. In the Middle Ages, the settlement on the river function was fortified, and the defensive towers were later integrated into the existing buildings so that they're now difficult to discern. Next to the 15th century church, the town centre features a Neptune fountain. The remains of its fortified walls are few and far between, and although the town was expanded over the centuries, it remained compact. Back to the station, where the train awaits us. With the completion of this railroad, the railway network connected Vienna and Central Europe with the Adriatic regions of the K&K monarchy. The train travels across the imposing 85-metre-high Solkan Bridge, the largest stone railway bridge in the world. We arrive at the station. When the Austria-Hungary monarchy ended, Nova Gorica became less important. These historic carriages are now pulled by the steam locomotives of the Ljubljana Railway Museum. It contains several steam ladies. Where there was once bustling activity, today the platforms and cash counters are deserted. A gentle glimpse into the past. In Škofja Loka, northwest of the capital, another journey begins to the south. When medieval religion, commerce and trade have left dominant traces of their existence. In 1973 AD, German Emperor Otto II presented the settlement to the bishops of Freising, who ruled here until 1803. Next, the Danube monarchy followed. The defiant castle once secured both town and trade routes. Today there's the City Museum and golden elders from the Sveta Lucia Sanctuary. Following the earthquake of 1511, the entire castle was rebuilt. Škofja Loka has a well-preserved medieval town centre, with magnificent townhouses and colourful facades once occupied by rich merchants. Craft guilds had much economic influence and wealth, so it was necessary to protect themselves and to build a city wall. Further south, within the narrow valley of a secluded hillside, is Idrija, the oldest mining town in Slovenia. Built in 1527, the Renaissance Gewerkenegg Castle, situated above the city, contained no royalty, but instead the directors and managers of the mine. While the men worked in the mine, the women made blankets, pillows and sheets using the art of lace making. But fame and wealth came from deep underground and one of the largest mercury mines in the world. Deep in the mountain, they built a chapel and carved out tunnels in all directions. They mined cinnabar ore here from the 16th century. Cinnabar ore contains mercury and is of a scarlet silver color. Only after reaching 800 degrees centigrade does mercury separate from cinnabar. Still further south, where the foothills of the Alps descend to the Pannonian Basin, the longest underground cave railway in the world leads to the largest show cave in Slovenia. Postojnska Jama, a wonder world of nature. For millions of years, large masses of water and the composition of the rock have created this remarkable system of caves. Around 5 million years ago, planar layers of rock became folded together by movement of the Earth's crust. Surface water seeped into the permeable karst, triggered the limestone and flushed it out. Underground water channels and caves were formed, and bizarre stalactites are formed from both ceiling and floor. In 1818, Lipizzaner discovered the first sections and, until the present, more than 20 kilometers of cave passages have been explored. In the 19th century, Postojnska Jama was known throughout Europe and America. Not far away is a unique wonder of nature. Cernice Lake, mysterious. Half a year a lake, and half a year almost solely meadowland. This is due to the porous karst ground and below a subterranean river. When it rains in autumn and winter, the water seeps into an amazing cave system. Any surplus water rises and fills the lake. In summer, the water evaporates until small water holes appear that are popular with the local wildlife. A natural phenomenon that has no equal. Triglav Castle is like a fortress, but owes its present appearance to the Renaissance period. Behind the four-story building hides an older medieval castle. Today, this has become a large museum, with a crest and paintings that depict scenes of daily life in the castle, as well as weaponry and hunting trophies. The castle dungeon thrills. And this small chapel is dedicated to Mother Mary. Here once lived a robber knight who took advantage of the caves below. He attacked and plundered merchants who travelled from the Adriatic to Ljubljana and Vienna. And when the emperor's soldiers besieged the castle, he replenished his supplies using secret trails from within the caves. The fortified village of Staniel is an historic place and a stone moment of bygone times. This medieval karst village is built on hillside terraces, and its buildings, which are made of grey karst, have been given a new lease of life. The bell tower of Daniel's church looks like an Ottoman minaret. And the fortified castle of the noble Koblenz family heavily influenced the history of the settlement. Further south, below the village of Škocjan, is one of the most important cave systems in the world, the Škocjan Caves. A world of caves into which the Reka River has dug deep into the limestone. Here nature has created a mysterious underground world, a labyrinth of caves, corridors and halls, decorated with stalactites of various shapes and sizes. In 1815, exploration of the cave system began, and now 6 kilometers of paths, steps and bridges have been painstakingly created. They travel between collapsed dolines that occurred through the gradual undermining of huge underground caves whose ceilings became porous over time and collapsed. Today we know that the caves were already known in the Stone Age. The river created the caves. Emerging from the underworld, it crosses the 2 collapsed dolines and disappears underground once more. In the middle of the barren karst landscape near Trieste is a wonderful forest and the world-famous Lipica Horse Stud, since 1580 the original home of the Lipizzaner. The Chapel of Mary is part of the sprawling estate where the white horses are bred, raised and trained. The stables are pride of the stud. Here the white stallions are shepherded like pashas. The museum explains the history of the breed. And at public shows held in a large indoor riding arena are various levels of training. And also elegant teams of horses. The carriage ride through the grounds leads through shady avenues and past large paddocks. Here the magnificent Lipizzaners are trained to perfection. The Istrian village of Hrasovlje contains one of the greatest treasures of Slovenian religious art. The Holy Trinity Church that has been surrounded by a high fortress wall since it was occupied by the Turks. The interior of the stone church is covered with frescoes. In 1490, Janec Kastov depicted a naive Bible that was meant to describe his medieval vision of creation. And the pictorial sequence The Dance of Death depicts the sobering message that in the end, equality among men reigns supreme. Koper, a major harbour city in Istria. The old town can be entered through the last of the 12 gates of the city's former defensive wall. Travelling to the centre of the old town, narrow streets, buildings and fine palaces were witness to the city's turbulent history. "500 years of Venetian rule shaped much of the city. An archway in the Praetorian Palace leads to a classic Venetian square. An elegant, bright white loggia served successful merchants and captains as an assembly hall. And a typical bell tower stands next to the cathedral, whose ornate interior contains the city's patron saints. The Praetorian Palace was seat of the mayor until the end of the 18th century. In its heyday, the city boomed with wine, oil, salt and fish, and many traders and craftsmen from Italy settled here. The memories of the great times remain. Today, Koper is Slovenia's window to the world and the country's only seaport. Izola too is an historic city, and the Church of the Holy Meva indicates with its Baroque main altar, decorative stucco, painted ceilings, marble, gold and angels, the wealth that was once developed here. Venedig controlled the city. So the famous Venetian-inspired Palazzo Besanghi degli Ughi was created, a Baroque palace built at the end of the 18th century. From the great square in the old port, the route leads past the colourful facades of historic townhouses and late Gothic palaces. High up on the steep cliffs of the Adriatic coast of Istria are the remains of a city wall that once protected the Venetian coastal town of Piran. A captivating medieval town. On a cliff above the old town is the St. George Church and a campanile which overlooks the fortified peninsula. From outside, the church looks typically Gothic, but its interior was redesigned in Baroque style, with the radiant figure of St. George slaying the dragon. The church museum features St. George and the monstrances, and in the lower church, the Crucified, a sculpture of wood on a Y-shaped cross. The Minorite monastery has also been well preserved. For more than 500 years, the town was under Venetian rule, a time when it took on the form which we see today. plus the blood-red palazzo below the main square with its balconies and windows in Venetian Gothic style. And Giuseppe Tartini, the famous violin virtuoso, dominates this large area, which was once the harbour basin. Piran has survived all with both charm and flair. Portoroz is the only real resort in the Slovenian Riviera, with several hotels lining its waterfront. Since the Danube monarchy, it's been a fashionable meeting place of both the rich and nobility of Central Europe. Rose Harbour is well known for its sandy beach and leisure facilities. And on the opposite foothills of the bay, within the grounds of former Viva, are various modern stone sculptures. Seclovlje is the last town before the Croatian border. Located on salt beds, this city is like a living museum. Within the saline landscape of the same name, salt was produced here using traditional methods until the end of the 1960s. A network of canals and locks directed seawater into the shallow pools with the aid of natural tide flow. The retained water evaporated and left a residue of salt, white gold. Recently, these remote salt marshes have been designated as a nature reserve in which numerous seabirds and rare migratory birds come to rest. In the northeast of Slovenia is Celje, the former regal city of the powerful Counts of Chile. St. Mary's Church of the Minorites is the city's most important place of worship. This Gothic church contains the Count's tomb and various historic reliefs. Opposite the town hall, near the heart of the old town, there's a popular pedestrianised zone where people meet, chatter and shop. It's an atmospheric city with charming townhouses and a Marian column that is a reminder of the plague. Also the Church of Holy Daniel, an old water tower, the Saliski Dom, and sections of the city wall that have been used to form various buildings. On a hill, the once most powerful fortress east of the Alps towered above the city and defended it for centuries. Further north in Australia are the impressive ruins of the Ziche Monastery. This Carthusian monastery was founded in 1160 and was later dissolved in 1782 during the reign of Joseph II. It is the oldest religious building in Slovenia. Over the centuries, the monks of this tiny and reclusive order lived and worked here according to strict rules. Fruit, vegetables and medicinal herbs were grown, and the monastery had a glass factory, produced bricks, and had a mill and a hospital. A world within itself. Maribor extends along the Drava River. It's the second largest city in Slovenia and in 2012 became the European Capital of Culture. It has an historic centre with magnificent buildings and beautiful facades, a beautiful legacy of the Baroque period. At first a Markburg settlement, the city eventually came into the possession of the Habsburgs in 1282 and became a significant trading intersection between the Alps and the Danube. The city palace and its extensive exhibits is located within the once fortified city walls. A ballroom with frescoes on the ceiling, a small Baroque chapel, and a Rococo staircase indicate great former wealth. Through the city park, the route travels between lush vineyards and up Pyramida Hill, on which the city's first castle was situated, and where the views of Maribor are particularly beautiful. A traditional raft trip is a must, with music, dance and wine. The river port of Lent boasts the oldest vine in the world. We now complete our tour of Maribor. Peciur is the oldest city in Slovenia, its old town being a cultural gem due to its dramatic history. In the Middle Ages, this marked the border area with Turkey. It's also a wine-growing region with a long tradition. And in the narrow streets and courtyards, time seems to have stood still. The tower is part of the city's fortifications, and the interior of the adjoining Church of St. George attracts visitors with its Gothic splendour. The Baroque Town Hall, a small theatre, and the Orpheus Monument are more of the city's treasures. But the highlight is the city's three-storey castle and arcaded courtyard. Today it contains the region's museum that features original furnishings, art collections, and weaponry. The Slovenia wine route begins in Ljubljana, a small town with a large church. At first the church was situated outside the city walls, but following hostilities by the Turks, it was extended. The splendour of its interior testifies to the former wealth of the wine trade. The wine region is located in the east of Slovenia, with gentle green hills, vineyards and small villages. A wooden klapotek, and the villages and homes of the winemakers are usually located on hilltops with fine views. Here, wine is everywhere. Various wines can be tasted. Rooms in the wine growers' houses are often decorated with paintings. With the wine cellar, their sanctuary. Next, the small village of Jerusalem. The small village church features the legend of the Crusaders and their gift, the Lady of Sorrows, in Baroque style. A veritable fairyland. In the southern section of the Alps hides a diverse landscape which extends to the Adriatic. With romantic towns, medieval fortresses, mountains, caves, waterfalls and lakes, Slovenia, a secret treasure situated in the heart of Europe.